This presentation is a production of the California Department of Toxic Substances Control.
I started out writing permits back in 1986, then moved to headquarters, I believe, in 1987. At that time, back in the 80s, the structure for the department was very different.
The people who came over to the DTSC at that time came from a variety of other programs. Many came from Food and Drug within the Department of Health, where I had worked previously. Their training, their expertise in inspections and enforcement was dependent upon where they had come before. There wasn't anything within DTSC at that time. As a result, many of the inspection and enforcement products that were being produced were not up to the quality that they should have been.
In the very beginning, when I was first hired, we were focused on more or less academic research. We identified chemicals of concern, we researched the literature, we collected that literature, reviewed the literature, and then we developed numerical criteria.
We had a hard time even identifying our universe of facilities needing permits. So we went through a project that took a lot of time with permit writers and other people digging through their desk drawers and file cabinets and compiling lists of all the facilities and what their status was. And then eventually the permit program took that list, which I helped develop, and put together a work plan and slowly got through.
In the beginning, the Superfund program was managed out of headquarters with a small group. The regional offices existed, but they were working on sites where there were responsible parties, and primarily it was an enforcement operation for the regions in cleanup area.
The cleanup program at that point in time was similar to the federal program, but we took a lot of hits for it because at that point in time the department was very costly. It took a long time to do that, and it upset a lot of people because we just weren't moving the projects through as quickly as past.
And eventually the management got much better. They got much more systematic about it. They actually began to put programs in place that were more thoughtful and less reactionary.
What we tried to do was put in a whole structure that allowed people to work on things in a sequential order. They knew what they were going to do. Things that came in, unless they were a clear emergency, were relegated to the end of the line rather than going to the first of the line.
So part of our job at that point in time was development of some standardized ways to document violations, to write inspection reports, to write statements of fact, to deal with prosecutors.
There was a lot of new programs started. We had a very aggressive pollution prevention program. We had a recycling reuse program. We had what was called land disposal restrictions. It was designed to make landfills safer. We had a very aggressive waste classification program. Because the program was new, there was a lot of questions the industry had as to whether or not the waste was hazardous, if so, how to manage it.
January 1 of the year 2000, a new law enacted by our state legislature took effect. It required that for any new school site or a significant expansion of existing school, the Department of Toxic Substances Control review environmental conditions at the school site to ensure that the property is safe.
When we started this program, we had a huge backlog because these schools were ready to go through construction. So DTSC executives agreed that we will use different staff from different programs to help us deal with the backlog.
The Office of Criminal Investigations has the only sworn peace officers in Cal EPA. We're sworn law enforcement officers. We have powers of arrest, search, and seizure. We carry firearms. We make arrests. We serve search warrants. It's a full-function investigative program.
We're also very happy with the reinvigoration of enforcement at DTSC. That's really one of the core missions of the department, is to make sure that the laws that are on the books are vigorously enforced.
We went from being the worst enforcement program in the nation, according to US EPA, to the best enforcement program in the nation.
To defining our universe, coming up with new processes, eliminating the backlogs. That's all been done.
We've done a lot of efficiencies and changing on how we do business. We've looked at ways of coming up different types of programs to the point now where the department has close to 17 different types of cleanup programs that can offer a property owner or a responsible party on ways of doing business.
Toxicolors now provide direct support to the regulatory staff, to the staff involved in cleanup and those involved in permitting and enforcement.
Since 2003, we've arrested about 111 people. We've prevented more than 58 tons of hazardous waste from being illegally disposed of.
We're looking at somewhere between 30 to 40 projects a month that are coming through our process.
We're basically identified as the people who are championing environmental justice for the state of California.
The work that people judge the department on a day-to-day basis is done in the regions, whether it be in the area of enforcement, cleanups, or permitting, or just interacting with communities. That's done in the regional offices. I think that's key. That's where I believe over 80% of our resources are allocated, and that seems appropriate. The role that headquarters play, which is important, is ensuring consistency, providing a conduit to the legislature and the governor's office. Headquarters is also the place where new directions are thought of and pursued that I think gives growth to this department. So one way out the other, you're not going to have a progressive department that has sustainability or potential for growth. You need to have both.